9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have a grand ceremony of reception is reserved for the head of state Ismail Margelle on his arrival in Guinea Equatorial. Also, the international scene in Australia, Doctors Without Border calls on narrow hell on refugees. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margelle, has arrived in Malabo for an official visit to Equatorial Guinea. He is accompanied by a strong delegation including the Minister of Foreign Affairs Mahmoud Ali Yusuf and his collaborator. He was greeted by the President Teodoro Obiang Nguema and all of officials of the country, including the Prime Minister and the Speaker of the Equatorial Guinea Parliament. A welcome was given to the President Gelle and a national anthem. Delegations from two countries were performed by the troop of fanfare, followed by a review of the honored troop. This visit comes at the invitations of the President Teodoro Obiang Nguema, who carried out in Djibouti last April. This visit is part of the strengthening of cooperation between the two countries. After greeting the member of the government, President Gelle had an initial meeting with the President Nguema at the Malabo airport. At the exit of a popular welcomes was reserved to the President Gelle and his delegation. During his stay, the President Gelle will be lodged in the Sipopo villa reserved to the guests of mark.
Presidente de la República de Djibouti. ¡Ay, novedad! La compañía mixta está formada para rendir a su excelencia los correspondientes honores de ordenación. Informa el coronel de las fuerzas navales, Serafín Lombardo.
After the official reception, the consultation meeting began with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Equatorial Guinea in the presence of the Djiboutian Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf and the Equatorial Guinean Minister of Foreign Affairs Mr. Sirmian Oyono. Subsequently, the President Gele arrived at the presidency of Equatorial Guinea, where he had a first long interview in mind was with the President Teodoro Obiang Nguema. The discussions were intense between the two presidents with a strong will to promote exchanges in the interest of the two people who, despite the distances, have similar points very close to the number of population, an area of 28,000 kilometers square for Equatorial Guinea and 23,000 kilometers square for Djibouti. Subsequently, always at the presidency, an enlarged meeting has gathered the whole of two delegations. After the end of the bilateral meetings of the two foreign ministers signed the document intended for the cooperation between the two countries and the two peoples. This new agreement is designed to strengthen existing cooperation between the two parties. Already last April, this country had signed the cooperation agreement on the strengthening of the bilateral cooperation in the framework the promotions of the investment and agreement of the political consultation during the official visit that the President Teodoro Obiang Nguema had carried out last April in Djibouti. Finally, still in the evening, and the presidency, a large dinner was organized in the honor of the visit of the President Gele in Equatorial Guinea. Evening was animated by traditional dances troupe rich in diversity and popular artists. After the celebrations, the two presidents addressed the audience to praise the effort of everyone in the march toward development, benefit of the whole population. The stability that prevails in both countries is guaranteed to initiate more dynamic development to improve the living conditions of the population of Djibouti and Equatorial Guinea. Finally, Teodoro Obiang, President, accompanied the President Gele, who is toward his Sipopo residence to spend the night. The President Teodoro Obiang Nguema paid tribute to the President Gele for the development that in recent years. He has also praised the President for his role and effort for peace in the African region. For his part, the President Gele thanked the President Teodoro Obiang Nguema for the warm welcome reserved for the delegations of the direction. He also congratulated his counterpart for his development policy, which is undertook for the development and welfare of the people of Equatorial Guinea. He praised the efforts of President Obiang for his great visions of Pan-Africanism and his activism in major African and international news. He also expresses his satisfactions for the bond of the trusts and solidarity in the relations between Malabo and Djibouti. Listen to the President.
Mr. President, it is a joy to be here in your beautiful country as a result of the invitation you have sent me. I am pleased to express to you and your government our sincere thanks for the warm welcome we have received. My joy of being among you is all the greater as it coincides with the 50th anniversary schedule for October the 12th. In this respect, allow me to express to you my warm congratulations to your government and the people of Guinea Equatorial for their attainment of national independence. We are honored to join you in these moments of joy and excitement. Mr. President, the leadership that you embody have known during these years peace, stability, and territorial integrity despite all the obstacles that stands in their way. I would like to pay tribute to the people of Guinea Equatorial, especially Mr. President, for the wisdom and foresight with which you have led your country to maintain its stability and assure it and a development worthy of an emerging country. Mr. President, your leadership in the African Union, you have consistently supported it in its process, the transformation into an integrated and prosperous continental organization, and this has been appreciated by all. My country shares with Guinea Equatorial the same impetus of Pan-African with a view to achieve a prosperous Africa at peace with itself and with the world. Moreover, our two countries have always maintained fraternal relations in the big African family and in the large international organization of which we are both members. We have had similar positions on many issues that concern the world. At the bilateral level, we have decided during your last visit in Djibouti in April 2018 to enhance these relations by adopting cooperation agreements in the political, economic, technical, cultural and investment field. These instruments are the means of a more dynamic and beneficial cooperation that our two countries intend to implement in a relatively short period of time. The Republic of Equatorial Guinea and the Republic of Djibouti have real similarities that can be a source of exchange and partnership, particularly at the economic and commercial level. We have also the opportunity to enrich each other through our respective experience gained in the pursuit of development. On the eve of the 50th anniversary of your country, allow me to convey to you, Mr. President, on behalf of the Djiboutian people, my best wishes for stability, peace and prosperity.
As part of the follow-up of the implementation of the commitment resulting from the thematic meeting launched by the President of the Republic, Excellency Mohamed Gele, last April to better coordinate the action and of the government in order to complete the socio-economic reform, Prime Minister His Excellency Abdulkadir Kamil Mohammed chaired this morning a meeting on employment and professional integration. Several members of the government took part in this meeting, namely the Minister of Labour, the Minister of National Education, the Minister of Social Affairs, the Minister of Women and Family, the General Secretary of the government, the Minister of Education and Health. The meeting also including the Vice President of the Djiboutian Chamber of Commerce, the President of the University of Djibouti, and the executives of the relevant department. Prime Minister recalled in his opening speech that this meeting was intended to take stock of the commitment made to the President of the Republic during the thematic consultations to reduce unemployment and ultimately reduce poverty. Our country has said that the cross-cutting issue was a priority for government action, and the President of the Republic attaches great importance to it. He called for the mobilizations of the actors concerned to obtain concrete results as soon as possible. The member of government also mentioned the constraint of the limit they face, in particular the improvement of the mobilizations of resources, a better coordination of the actions of the concerned actor to avoid the overlaps is harmful to the realizations of the actions undertaken. It should be noted a warning issue that by the president of the university, who pointed to a disaffection of science by young students for the benefit of management sciences. Prime Minister insists in finance with the strategy initiated by the President of the Republic to transform Djibouti to the regional logistic hub to direct actions and effort toward the sectors such as logistics, transport and technological news, as well as the buildings which are wells on very important jobs. For his part, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Khan Mohammed recalled in his opening speech that this meeting was intended to take stock of the commitment made to the President of the Republic during the thematic consultation to reduce unemployment and ultimately reduce poverty. The National Assembly of Djibouti, organized in the wake of the previous seminar devoted to the decentralization, a second workshop on the promotion and protection of the rights of Djiboutian children. This workshop on the promotion and protection of children's rights report by UNICEF, opened by the speech of the President of the National Assembly, takes place in the parliamentary hemicycles. The idea being, in the words of the President of the Parliament, Mr. Mohammed Ali Ahmed, to allow elected representatives to fully understand the main right of the children and provide for the 1981 conventions in order to think about their success in everyday life and highlighting the ways and means necessary to improve the living environment of the child, believing the symposiums to be a great opportunity and the best reason for concerning. The President added that the threat of the goals guiding the gathering is understanding and assimilations of the needs of these fragile beings to best defend them against discriminations and natural of emerging disability of their immaturity, inviting elected officials and UNICEF members present to follow the experience and the family approach of the example of proximity and living environment of the Djiboutian children. B is convinced of the importance on this discussion is reasoned on the operations, the modalities of intervention, the mechanism of cooperation, the principles of interventions on the subject of the protection of our girls and our boys. If the principles of law of orientation, which is not a miraculous law from the outside, is to describe the current situations of children to plan a new future interinstitutional dialogue and collegial meetings certainly have the perfect property of driving forces to guarantee their protection. After a week generally received for seminar and ideas, the deputies will pivot to the fabric of laws where the 10 major texts await for them at the beginning of the second half of October 2018. The President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Ahmed, added that the threat of the goals guiding this gathering is the understanding and assimilation of the needs of this fragile being to best defend them against discrimination, natural of or emerging disability of their immaturity. A ceremony of decoration was held this morning in the former homes of the RTD Navy, now called the Hotel Officers of Colonel Hassan Bassoum Hassan, located at the Snake Plateau. Upon his arrival, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was greeted by General Tahiro. After he reviewed with the aligned troop, the Director General of Port of Djibouti, Saad Omar Gelle, the Director of Maritime Affairs, Ali Mirah Sheikh Ndawdo, the commanders of the Coast Guard Colonel Wais Omar Boghore, and many officers and non-commissioned officers took part in this ceremony. The first part of the ceremonial involved the awarding of superior strips to the women's football team. This team won the last 4 years the women's national champion. They won the Cups of 27 June organized by the Djiboutian Federation. Subsequently, he proceeded to the delivery of gallon of 4 female officers of the first rotationist officer female personnel of the army. This promotion was awarded as a reward for work performance and effort. The second phase of the ceremony concerned the decorations of the civil authority working in the military hospital with the medals of the Knights of the Great Star of Djibouti. The managing directors of Djibouti Port Saad Omar Gelle and the director of Maritime Affairs Ali Mirah Shahem were awarded by the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim for the medals of Commander of the Great Star of Djibouti for logistical and maritime support to the Djiboutian Armed Forces. Thus, on this occasion, several officers of the Djiboutian Army were decorated with the Medal of Officers of the Big Star of Djibouti by the hand of the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. During his speech, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim has encouraged the women's soccer team of the Djiboutian Armed Forces to continue to win more trophies in order to enhance the images of the Djiboutian Armed Forces, and in particular that of the female personalities. Concerning international scene, Australia refugee Doctors Without Borders call for the closures of Nauru Hell refugee children of the semi-contiguous state. Dozens of suicide attempts cause cases of self-harm refugee parked by Australia on the island of Nauru living of appalling condition, and many are sick. Doctors Without Borders, however, can not longer treat them because their contract with the authorities of the island was brutally cancelled 6 days ago. Under an Australian immigration policy, often described as plain and cruel, refugees rescued at sea are turned back and sent to countries with financial agreement with Australia, including Papua New Guinea and the Republic of Nauru. They stay there indefinitely. SEF today cannot do much except make an appeal to the international community. It has been 5 years since nearly 1,000 people were detained on the island of Nauru, among them 115 children. This is it for tonight's news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.